Hello, service coordinators. Welcome to the Service Coordinator Podcast. My name is Dan Berger, and I am here with Tara Wenger, my counterpart for the Service Coordinator Podcast. We are, I believe, at podcast number 11. We have definitely slowed up a little bit over the summer break here, but we are back at it. And today we have a couple guests to kind of talk about the future of healthcare, value-based systems, and what maybe service coordinators can be looking for, for their residents in the future. So today we have Jerrie O'Rourke from National Church Residences and Sarah Dalton-Ortlieb from National Church Residences. So welcome to the podcast, ladies.
Thanks.
Well, Sarah, I know you have been working on a project here in Columbus, Ohio for well over a year now, a partnership with a hospital, or not a hospital, a doctor's office here in Columbus, Ohio. So why don't you tell us about the partnership and what you've been working on?
Sure. Well, I think probably if, maybe some of our service coordinators have been at a national conference in years past, there could be a chance that they've heard of our innovation initiative. We have a kind of a group of folks whose purpose is to work specifically on innovative ideas that might impact seniors and the delivery of our services at National Church Residences, so that we can expand our reach and also be able to be sustainable in many of our service lines. So the project that I'm working on came out of that innovation department. And really what it's about is, as you said, we're partnering with a large primary care organization that is in Central Ohio, but they have over, I think, almost 460 physicians that are at almost 80 different practices within Central Ohio and kind of the outskirts of Central Ohio. And so they're really the largest physician-owned primary care group, I think, in the country, definitely on the East Coast. So we've been working with them on our senior services side, so through our home care and hospice teams for many years. And Tom Slemmer, our former CEO, and now our current CEO, Mark Ricketts, have always had some leadership connection and like-minded mission work. And so we came up with this, someone, not me, came up with this idea to do a center that is focused just for seniors, a primary care center that's focused just for seniors. So that in and of itself is pretty cool, to say that your doctor focuses just on seniors. But what makes this project even more special is that not only are we focusing on seniors, but we are also doing it in a whole different payment mechanism. So some folks may have heard the term value-based healthcare, and this project and the way that we get paid is completely different from the way that most doctors get paid. And because of that, we're really able to do unique things with our patients, and we're able to kind of, what we talk about, like kind of bubble wrapping them and really looking at them from a complete perspective, not just from a normal patient-doctor relationship, but all of the things that impact people's health and wellness that our service coordinators are experts on, all those social determinants of health. So we started working on it, honestly, in 2018. It went through a lot of kind of business development and just market inquiry portions of time and people crunching the numbers. And then last summer we kind of built out some space beside one of our adult day spaces here in the north side of Columbus. And we opened at the end of January. So we're really excited now that we're starting to see patients there, and we have members from our National Church Residences team that do help us with our service coordination and our Home for Life program and Jerrie's NCQA model. And then we also have clinicians and practitioners from Central Ohio Primary Care. And, it's a really cool thing we're doing there. I'm really, really excited about how we can kind of be on that leading edge of how healthcare delivery and social determinant management happens. So we're really excited that National Church Residences was, and our board was supportive of doing something like this.
Right. Jerrie, how are you involved in the project?
So I actually, a couple of my programs have been highlighted on this podcast a few times.
Oh, you've been before, we know.
Yeah, I'm a regular. So anyway, So I'm the corporate director for senior care management. So I have a hodgepodge of different programs that kind of come together. If you think of what we're doing at National Church Residences as being population health for seniors, we're starting to dabble into all these programs that really kind of come up together to understand how we're helping to take care of seniors. So my role for the center, I get to work alongside Sarah with the service coordinators and help them really develop good workflows, different approach, because this is different. This is different than what you might experience in a HUD property, a light tech, or some of the other nonprofit government-sponsored programs. So this is a really cool concept where these service coordinators get to really be involved in a different way with seniors under a value-based contract concept. So Sarah and I get to really look at workflows, what's working, what's not. We tweak things all the time until we get it right, but also really looking at what successful metrics we want to take advantage of. Under that NCQA model, which is that accreditation program that did approve our Home for Life model 3 years ago, we're able to take this same concept and really build out policies and procedures and person-centered ways of working with seniors and really develop what works best for them, because it's not one size fits all. So Sarah and I really look at workflows and life activities, really enrichment programs, and really just down to how to talk with seniors about what's important to them. And from that, we develop their own personal goals and then be able to monitor them and follow them. We become their speed dial number one. We don't want them going to the hospital or to the ER. We want them to call the center and call that service coordinator. We have some fabulous ones there who are also that, and one of the programs you guys highlighted a while ago was our benefits enrollment program. So our service coordinators are trained to look for that component and be able to build that into the center as well, which is really cool because it's all in the toolbox. So I'll stop there. I could talk, as you know.
Yeah, you both mentioned, you both used terms like value-based care, value-based system, etc. And I'm sure that a lot of the people listening have heard that sort of wording thrown around, but maybe or maybe not have ever really thought about what the difference between a value-based care setting versus typical or traditional care setting might look like. So I wondered if I'm going to make this a twofer. So for Sarah, I wonder if you could kind of give us a very simple, like, what's the difference between value-based care versus other types of care? And then Jerrie, I wonder if you could follow that by kind of walking us through what is the client or patient experience in value-based care versus other types of settings.
Yeah.
So take it away, Sarah.
All right, good. I'm glad I get to go first because then I won't forget the question. So really, value-based care in a nutshell, today's healthcare system, and when you say it, and I tell people this, it actually kind of seems like, seriously, that's how this is, but it really is. If we go to the doctor, if you or I go to the doctor, and 95% probably of everybody in today's world is getting healthcare, and it's getting billed and paid for in the old way, which is we refer to as fee for service, means you go to the doctor, you see them, they do a service or they see you, they bill a charge, and whether you needed that service or not, whether it ended up making you healthy or finding out what was wrong with you, getting you better, it doesn't matter. They bill the charge and you pretty much get paid. Now there's some stipulations, obviously you all know that, like, sometimes your doctor asks for you to have something, your insurance says, no, you can't have that. So there are some safeguards to that. However, by and large, you can kind of get care, and it may not actually be the right care at the right time, but providers just, because of the way that the system is and the way that they're paid for, there's not a lot of incentive in the current system to make sure that it is the right care at the right time. And there's no connection between providers. So an example of this in our world is, we had a patient, well, no, that's really Jerry's question, so I won't leave it, but I'll let Jerry answer this.
Question, Sarah.
Sorry. But the real thing is, in a value-based system, it puts more total responsibility for a patient on a group. Sometimes in the case of our center, it's the primary care physician. So the primary care physician is ultimately responsible for this patient, regardless of whether they are seeing a specialist, if they're going to the hospital, if they're going to podiatrist. They the way that their payment is tied to them using all of those services. So if they need to have a podiatrist visit to take care of their foot care because they're diabetic and we don't want to have them, cutting on their own toenails and causing a sore that won't heal and then maybe lead to an amputation, then the primary care physician is really interested in making sure that they get that good care. If, in fact, going to podiatrist isn't really necessary, but they've got a podiatrist, and this isn't to disparage podiatrists, it's just what came top of mind, but they go every month just because they can, that's utilizing healthcare services that may not be necessary, and they're charging the system, and it's contributing to expense and spend for all of us in that Medicare and many of those insurance spends. So that's an example where it puts kind of the primary care provider back in, like I like to say, like the quarterback position, somebody who is there to say, well, wait a minute, why are we doing that right now? Because today, if a primary care physician, if they go to C12 specialists, they may not agree, but it doesn't really matter to them. And that, again, that kind of sounds a little bit crass, but they might care about their patient. They want them to have good care. But if ultimately they go, you know what, I'm going to go see a neurologist, and they're like, okay, you don't really need to see them, but go ahead. Or as we would see sometimes in home care, patient ends up in a hospital, they get referred to home care, and that PCP says, I haven't seen them in 3 years. And you're like, how is that possible? You haven't seen your patient in 3 years, and it's because they're seeing 12 specialists, but there's nobody coordinating all of that care. This kind of puts the PCP back into that quarterback and their team in the quarterback position to be interested in what's happening to the patient no matter where they are, which is good. It's good for communication. It's good for doing the right kind of care at the right time. But today's fee-for-service model doesn't really allow for that. And quite frankly, you're incentivized to do more. That's how we get paid. You do the service, you get more. So it kind of almost erodes that, because all that communication and all that coordination takes time away from them saying, let me see another patient and get paid. So this model allows for that communication that's really important, in particular when you have complicated seniors that have lots of comorbidities, lots of chronic conditions, lots of things that, social determinant impacts that really require a lot of coordination. So, Jerrie?
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
No. So this was built next to our adult daycare, right? And
Yep.
then the provider, COPC, Central Ohio Primary Care, came in their offices next door, correct? So who gets to benefit? I mean, obviously, I'm guessing the residents or the folks that come to the adult day get to participate, but who gets to participate in this program?
Really anyone. The real way that you can become, we actually call them members and not patients,
Mm-hmm.
because it really is more comprehensive than the kind of just the patient-doctor relationship. But at the core of it, anyone who wants to have our doctor be their doctor, that's one step. You have to say, I want our doctor at the center to be my primary care physician.
Okay.
That's one thing. And then the second part is there are certain Medicare Advantage plans that we participate in that pay us in this way differently. And so there's 4 or regular Medicare in our scenario. And so when you're a member of one of these Medicare Advantage plans, so a one that people may have heard of, they're nationwide, is Aetna. Another one is Anthem. These are big Medicare Advantage plans all across the country. But here in Columbus, if you are an Aetna member and you say, I want to come see our doctor at the Senior Select Center, then those two things empower us to be able to get paid from the insurance company differently, not a payment because we see them and then they give us a payment, but saying, okay, so this is this patient's entire picture of health. So we're going to pay you a certain amount for that patient. So if you take care of them, then you're going to do well because you're going to have them out of the hospital. So, for our current system, if somebody has poor balance, I'm a physical therapist, so this relates to me. If somebody has poor balance, our current system does not pay for, most places don't pay for preventative balance classes or any kind of intervention to avoid somebody having a fall. They have the fall, they break the hip, the surgeon gets a surgery, the hospital gets an inpatient hospitalization, the rehab people get rehab, the skilled nursing facility. That's how right now all of us get paid, by having that happen. In this model, what we want is don't fall down. Let's keep you healthy. Let's keep you well. It's like, you know,
Right.
yeah, let's not do all that. Not to say again that we don't want all those people to have work, but we really want people to stay healthy. We want them to not have to have the surgery. We want them to not have to have the skilled nursing stay and all of those things that make people, you know, sick and, unhealthy and, unhappy. So this says, take care of them, keep people well, and we'll reward you for that. It's like, again, it's kind of like a simple concept, but it's not the way we do it today.
So there's 3, 4, 5 Medicare Advantage plans that are involved.
In this, we have 4 Medicare Advantage plans in this center, but that could be, this is really something that we're seeing more and more of. So some hospital systems now do this with their patients. It's really nationwide. It's just may look a little different here and there, but it's starting to take hold in much more, instances.
I think it's just the future of healthcare. I mean, we've been talking to service coordinators about this for years now, is be proactive, get out there and see those residents, especially the ones that you don't get to see every day, and find out what they're doing. Are they isolated? What are they doing in their apartments all day long? So yeah, that sounds great. So, all right, Jerrie, you're up. Do you forget your question?
If I remember the question. Well, yes, I do. And just to piggyback off of Sarah,
I was going to say, let's make sure let's just restate it in case those who are listening.
Yeah, what was the question?
Idea.
Remember. So the question is essentially, how does the member, resident, client experience look in a value-based type of care setting versus fee-for-service? And I think Sarah gave us some good examples.
Yeah.
But I wonder, Jerrie, if you could kind of walk through, especially if we think of the center as the example. Like if I'm a senior on the north side of Columbus and I walked into the Senior Select Center, how would my experience be different than, say, at some other doctor's office?
Yeah, so and this segues perfectly into what Sarah said, because if you think about a one-stop shop, no wrong door concept, where you enter our doors and you're greeted by someone, it's like the Walmart experience, right? Someone's greeting you at the door and we're already looking, we're already watching how you walk. We're talking to you, we're engaging with you. Even if you've come back again and again, we get to know you. It's a relationship that we begin to build with you. So the purpose of that is because this is different. This value-based experience really becomes a proactive way to keep you healthy and safe. I also see this as a bubble. We got a bubble wraparound services all around you. And really, service coordinators can do this already in their properties, in the community, wherever they are. They don't need to engage in a value-based relationship to start thinking about how to be more proactive, how to bring this bubble or this toolbox along with you, because it's exactly what it sounds like. It's proactive. It's person-centered. It's really looking at what you need as that person, and we want you to come engage with us rather than, how confusing is it when you go back home and your discharge orders tell you to follow up here, follow up there, and I can't remember who there is or who I'm supposed to call first or next. This really puts the ownership on us to make sure we're engaging with you completely, and we get dinged if we don't. So if you bring the business side of it, which service coordinators are business people too, we're thinking about how to make sure that you stay healthy and well, stay out of that hospital. We're asking you questions about what's important to you. We're engaging with you with, Mrs. Jones, I see you have a new cane. What happened to the old cane? Well, I fell last month, so I had to, Mrs. Jones, why didn't you call us? That's important for us. So we're constantly educating that senior about, you come to me, I will help you with everything. If I don't know the answer, I will look in my toolbox, pull it out, but we are your no wrong door. We are really there to pull in the experts wherever you might need. And as Sarah said, if it's a balance issue, we're contacting our PT. We're talking to our other physicians, other experts at the center, so that we can bring this bubble of expertise to you. It's truly integrated care, really. It's not so much isolated where we're outside those walls, we're taking care of you inside. So that service coordinator follows you soup to nuts, wherever you are, whatever you need, and we help to tie all the pieces together. And service coordinators can do that now.
I was going to say that I was just going to add to that, because I know when we've talked to our local service coordinators here in Central Ohio who are working with many of our residents are coming to the center for their primary care. But it really is, this empowers us to, the good work that service coordinators are doing oftentimes doesn't feel as successful when you don't have the connection to the medical component. And I know even working in home care, I came from our home care team, and we would try to contact a lot of doctors, and it's like, you don't get them, they don't call you back. Our success was sometimes dependent upon, and I think sometimes the case also with service coordinators, a resident may come down and say, I don't understand, like Jerry said, I just came back from the hospital, I've got these discharge instructions, where am I supposed to go? You want to help them as a service coordinator, but you're not you can't get the doctor won't talk to you, their nurse doesn't call you back or whatever. And then you're not able to help your resident be healthy and, doing well because they're not connected. And it goes back to what I was saying, where no skin off the, that doctor's back or that nurse's back, but they're not really incentivized now to say, yeah, I don't want you back in the hospital. In this model, value-based care, we do not want that patient to go back to the hospital. So when that service coordinator calls and says, hey, Betty is in my resident, she's here, she doesn't understand what medicine she's supposed to take, we're right on that phone, because we're saying we don't want Betty to go to the hospital either. Our financial and our heart and our clinical things are all in alignment to say we don't want her to go back. So we're going to talk to you, service coordinator, and we're going to be interested in what she's experiencing there in her home, because we want her to stay there just like you want her to stay there. And we don't want her to go to the hospital. So it really incentivizes the clinicians and the clinical team to connect with that community-based team, which often might be the service coordinator. And you guys are seeing, the service coordinators are seeing real life what's happening in these people's homes, because this, of course, as we all know too, sometimes what people tell the doctor is a different picture than what's really happening at home. So this is valuable information that service coordinators can provide members of these value-based teams to get real on what's happening at home.
Any other questions, Tara?
I just wanted to kind of as a comment after all of that, I think I had the pleasure multiple times to be able to tour the center. And I think for me, as a person who doesn't really work in a medical setting or anything like that, I just thought I'd point out that some of the things that stuck out to me about the center, and the way that the physical environment is made, really kind of it emphasizes, or it like as you walk in the door, you can tell that this place is different. Because there's like the waiting room is not really a waiting room, it's more like a cafe, like a hangout zone kind of feel. There's a community space for classes at this place.
I tell people it's a senior center and a doctor's office smushed together. For a senior, that makes more sense, because it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't look like a doctor's office. Because the idea is, we don't want people just to come talk to us when they're coming to the doctor once a year or twice a year. We want to see them all the time, because and that's that bubble wrapping Jerry's talking about, because we want to just know you're having trouble with getting your food. That's important to us. How can we work with your service coordinator, because your food insecurities are going to affect your health. If they're not doing it right now, it's going to get there. And so we want to see these people frequently. So we have a whole life enrichment program that you mentioned. We're really excited that we're able to actually do that now that COVID's hopefully,
Sarah, do you want to explain a few of those? Like, we're having silver sneakers. We have great contracts with other local partners who are doing specific types of classes around diabetes, or do you want to mention a couple of those other ones? Because these are things service coordinators can do in their buildings now too.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that we've really that's been garnered a lot of interest is we have brokers who are independent brokers, meaning that they can talk Medicare Advantage insurances, which are many times better for our residents because they offer additional benefits to traditional Medicare. But these are guys or gals who don't sell just one insurance, but they can sell different insurances, so they can really help you look at the plans and know what's the best one for you. And I know our service coordinators here in Central Ohio have said what a benefit that is to them, because insurance plans are so complicated. Each product, like an Anthem, they may have 60 different plans or different products, and it's so confusing. So these brokers have been really helpful to be kind of almost like even like a call a friend or a phone a friend for service coordinators. So they've been doing things in the community rooms. We also have nutritionists doing, like say, for example, a diabetic nutrition or a cardiac diet class. We've had hearing impairment classes scheduled for July. We have also community groups. So we've offered our room to, we have a local resident coalition that's here in Central Ohio that's having a talk twice this month at our center. So we're able to also invite folks that are in the community and to just use the space. And we really are looking about, how we can be a good neighbor to our community and our friends. But because this area of town is sometimes one that has been a little underserved. We have a good footprint of affordable housing there, but there haven't necessarily been great services like really high quality healthcare services and other support services sometimes that are well coordinated in that area. There was a study that looked at how that population of seniors is growing in the area, but they're not necessarily getting really well coordinated services. So that's one of the reasons that we situated the center there on that part of town.
Well, great.
And I think that's just as a conclusion thought, sorry, Dan, I was just going to say that I feel like the idea that what you see going on at the center, if you walked into the center and just looked at like what the activities that you could see people doing, the actions taken, etc., and you walked into one of our affordable housing sites where like a day the service coordinator's there, it might look very similar.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that shows how much service coordination is ahead of the game in terms of addressing social determinants of health, and how eventually probably the medical model will catch up to that, and we will see more and more. And I think the listeners, this would be a great thing to comment about if you're on a place where you can comment. I think a lot of affordable housing sites are kind of also meeting in the middle there, where after they acquire a building or are able to do a remodel, they sometimes include space for doctors or other specialists to come in and have on-site medical services, so that you're seeing like the ground floor of an affordable housing site is now like there's a doctor, there's activities, etc. going on. That I think it just shows that we're like the path of service coordination and other providers to provide this wraparound concept to address all the needs that a senior might have and to help them thrive is, we're really going to see this pop up in different ways. But at the end of the day, it could happen just as easily in an affordable housing site, like many of our listeners work in, as it could in a community-based senior center or primary care center. But that service coordination fits in all of those locations.
For sure. Yeah.
You're going to hear more about it.
Yeah, I was going to say the reason that COPC went, they were interested in talking to us because we're experts. Our National Church Residences Service Coordination Team is known for being experts in social determinant management. And COPC knew that 60% of your health is not based on what you're doing at the doctor's office, but what is happening with those social determinants. So what you're saying is 100% right, Tara, because now the work that we've been doing in social determinant management is going to become more and more and more important, and people are going to be looking for that support from the service coordinators and people that manage those things, because it's super important, and they're going to want to talk to those folks more and more. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I think what I heard through all that was service coordinators are the future is all I heard there.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
It will continue to be, yes.
Seriously. They see everybody, the hospital systems, home care, all those patients, those members, those service coordinators are staring right at them. So service coordinators aren't going anywhere. And, so you might as well just subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. So again,
great segue.
Like it, comment, subscribe, please. It makes Tara and I look so much better here at work. So thanks for thanks for joining us, guys. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. All right. Bye.